Vienna is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. It has a fascinating history and some incredible sights to see. But with so many amazing things to do, it can be hard knowing where to start. My name's Kyle, and I have just returned from an incredible trip to Vienna, Austria, as well as an 8-week tour of Europe. Today, I'm going to share with you some of my personal favorite things to do during my trip to Vienna. I only had a few days in Vienna, so I wasn't able to see and do everything. I'll highlight a few of my favorites. I knew Vienna was a large, iconic city in Europe. However, I did not realize how big this city really was. Vienna is the capital and the largest city of Austria and is an important cultural center with plenty of historical buildings, museums, architectural monuments, and an excellent music scene. The city has long been a major crossroads between Eastern and Western Europe, both economically and culturally. The metropolitan area is very spread out, and it can take you days, if not weeks, to cover off on everything that the city has to offer. I'll definitely need to go back. Here are some of the top things to do in Vienna. First thing that you need to do in Vienna is tour Old Town on foot. Vienna Altstadt, or Old Town, was developed from early Celtic and Roman settlements into a medieval and Baroque city and has now become the capital of Austria. Vienna Old Town is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and the largest intact medieval old town in Europe. However, due to several high-rise real estate developments in the area, it's been placed on the danger list. Vienna's Old Town is divided by the Vienna River, which runs through it and is full of picturesque squares and monumental architecture. It is not uncommon to spend an entire day out of your trip simply exploring the city blocks, especially if you're visiting for the first time. There are plenty of great things to see simply by walking and touring the city. Make sure you stop by the Flag Column, or the Trinity Column, which is a high Baroque monument dedicated to the plague epidemic. This is one of the most prominent sculptures in all of Europe. Or stop by the Anchor Clock, which is Art Nouveau mechanical clock that runs on the hour in a similar fashion to a glockenspiel. The clock is located at Oher Market in Vienna's city center. When you're touring the city on foot, you need to do one of my favorite activities, stopping by one of the many beer houses and cafes to simply take in the culture. Another great thing to do is to take a trip to Bratislava. Bratislava, the capital of Slovakia, is an easy day trip from Vienna. The two cities are connected by a train line as well as connected by the Danube River, which makes traveling from one to the other relatively easy. There's an easy and comfortable express train that can get you from Vienna to Bratislava in under an hour. It has an onboard restaurant and comfortable seats. Once you get into Bratislava, you'll have the chance to tour the legendary Devon Castle or wine and dine in their historic old town, or visit the many museums such as the National Slovak Museum. We took the train, but I've heard the best method is by taking a boat cruise along the Danube River, where you can dine and gaze at the many castles built along this historic river. The next best thing to do in Vienna is visit the Kunsthistorisches Museum. The Kunsthistorisches Museum, or the Art History Museum of Vienna, is one of the most famous museums in the world. It is home to a large number of European paintings, drawings, and sculptures. One of the most famous collections belonging to this museum include the works by Rubens, Renoir, Monet, Velázquez. The museum is massive and is located right in the middle of Maria Theresa Square, located right across from the Natural History Museum of Vienna. One of my favorite things about the Art History Museum was the royal collection of items that range from centerpieces to jewelry to household items. Each piece was so unique and ornate. There was even a household item of a bear holding a rifle while also wearing a hat. The cap was secretly removable and could be used as a drinking cup. If you want a tour of the Art History Museum of Vienna, watch our full YouTube video and walkthrough of this incredible museum. Another great thing to do is visit the Schönbrunn Palace. The Schönbrunn Palace is a cultural and historical monument with sprawling gardens. Formerly the house of the Habsburg summer residence, this palace is among Europe's most magnificent Baroque structures with an impressive 1,441 rooms. You can reach the palace by a 40-minute walk or by cab from the city center, or use lines 10 and 58, or take the U4 subway and stop at the Schönbrunn station. The palace itself was very impressive, including seeing the original bed and bedroom of Franz Joseph. But what really impressed me was the gardens, which is now a park. The park was first opened to the public in 1779 and has been a popular recreational area ever since, as well as a focal point of significant historical and cultural significance in Vienna. It stretches over 1.2 kilometers, and in 1996, it was added to the UNESCO World Heritage List. While strolling through the park, we passed the Imperial Zoo, which wasn't on our list of visits in Vienna, but we decided to pop in after seeing how incredible it looked from the outside. This zoo completely amazed me. The environment that the animals were in was very impressive and clean. I'm not a big zoo person, but this was one of the best zoos I've visited in the entire world. If you'd like to learn more about the Schönbrunn Palace and our visit, check out our full video tour on our YouTube channel. One thing that's a quick and easy thing to do is visit the Schmetterling House or the Imperial Butterfly Park. The Schmetterling House or Imperial Butterfly Park is located just 200 meters away from the Opera House in Vienna. This was another activity that wasn't completely on my list of the top things to do in Vienna, but I popped in here while strolling through the Hofburg Garden and Mozart statue. The gardens are home to many different species of butterfly, and it's a great place for ecotourism or nature enthusiasts. You can get up close to a ton of different butterflies in a greenhouse type setting, and it only costs €7 to stop in and snap some amazing portraits of colorful butterflies. One of the best free things to do in Vienna that will also fill your culture list is simply enjoying one of the many amazing parks and gardens. Between Stadtpark, Burggarten, Rathaus Park, Volksgarten, and Kaiserreich, there's no shortage of options to enjoy good weather or have a picnic. These parks are not just any parks. They're filled with amazing monuments and feature landscaping that would make a private country club envious. One of my favorite visits was the Rosengarten, or Rose Garden, within Volksgarten. Roses lining the gardens and fountains everywhere. This place is so serene that you'll hardly realize you're in the middle of a city filled with 2 million other people. Beyond that, I love how each one of these parks have gently placed and very clean chairs and benches. The attention to detail and precision of the park system in Vienna is impressive and nothing like I've ever seen before. I visited in late summer and it looked like spring had just bloomed with flowers and colors everywhere. Within these parks, each have their own monument. Some of the most notable monuments are the ones dedicated to legendary musicians from Vienna, such as the Mozart Monument at the Burggarten or the Johann Strauss Monument at Stadtpark. If you are a history buff or love architecture, you'll adore the many churches in Vienna. The most prominent is St. Stephens Cathedral, which is medieval Roman Catholic church with an incredibly ornate spire, catacombs, and a treasury museum. You can visit the top of the cathedral to get sweeping views of the city. The church was constructed in the late 12th century and is one of the most important Gothic structures in all of Europe. This cathedral is located right in the middle of the city and it is, of course, at one of the most important squares, Stephansplatz. This church underpins the entire city of Vienna. Or stop by the nearby Capuchin Church if you'd like to tour the crypts of the emperors and empresses of the royal Habsburg family. There are plenty of churches around the city center that you can explore. You could, in fact, spend an entire day visiting churches and cathedrals. There are plenty of great markets within the neighborhoods of Vienna. One of my favorites was the Naschmarkt. The Naschmarkt in Vienna is the favorite Viennese marketplace for locals and visitors. The market offers an extensive selection of foods, meat, cheeses, vegetables, spices, pastries, and everything else you could want to eat or enjoy. There are also some interesting shops on the side streets during your walk among all of the delicious sights. This has been a market since the 16th century and spans over 1.5 kilometers of excellent dining. I didn't opt for some of the cultural restaurants here. I had to stick to Viennese, which ended up being a great choice. I had some of the best Wiener Schnitzel I've had in my life at this market. One of the sites that you won't miss, given the sheer size and stature, is the Hofburg, as well as the Rathaus. The Hofburg is the former Imperial Palace in Vienna, Austria. It was originally constructed in the 13th century, and now the Hofburg is home to the offices of the President of Austria and the Federal Ministry for Europe and International Affairs. You can tour the Hofburg from the inside as well as the outside by booking a tour or visiting one of the many museums located inside the Hofburg. You can also stop by the Rathaus, another iconic must-see site in Vienna. The Rathaus is the seat of the local government in Vienna, where you'll find all administrative departments. It has 5 large courtyards, and one of them is permanently devoted to hosting various cultural events, like art exhibitions. The best way to get there is to walk or take the excellent public transportation in Vienna. You can take the bus line 50 or tram lines 1 through 6 to get there. Horses are a big deal in Vienna. One of the best things to do is either take a horse-drawn carriage to tour the city, or speaking of the Hofburg, you can see the classical formal performances at the Spanish Riding School. The Spanish Riding School in Vienna is the oldest of its kind in the world. It's often considered to be one of the top attractions in Vienna and is located right at the Hofburg grounds. If you're interested in seeing it for yourself, you can purchase tickets for the classical Viennese performances in advance for €26. I wasn't able to attend a performance since I was traveling with a baby. No kids allowed in this formal setting, but we did stop by the school to snap a few pics. Vienna is by far one of the most iconic cities in Europe. I'd highly recommend adding it to your places to visit if you haven't been there. Whether you want to tour the Hofburg or check out the many art museums, Vienna has plenty for visitors both young and old. There's so much more than these things to do in Vienna, though. I cannot wait to go back and visit. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the Via Travelers YouTube channel by clicking the shiny red button below. Or if you love travel as much as us, join our free travel newsletter. I placed a link to it in the description below.